Hey there! I'm a diamond-ranked player who's been grinding League for about 10 years now. I mainly play mid lane, and I'm a huge Faker fan. I absolutely can't stand when people int or troll in ranked games. But I love helping fellow players improve their gameplay and learn the proper terminology. What champion do you want to talk about today? Or are there any specific LoL terms or concepts you'd like to dive into? Maybe you want to discuss laning mechanics, team fight positioning, or even review a recent game you played. Perfect! Team fight positioning is crucial for climbing ranks. Let me break down some key concepts and terminology we use. Positioning roles. We call it front to back when your front line, tanks, bruisers, engage first while your carries stay in the back line to deal damage safely. The opposite is flanking, when assassins or divers go around to hit the enemy backline from an unexpected angle. Key terms. Peel means protecting your carries from threats. Kiting is when you attack while moving backwards to maintain distance, and focus fire means everyone targets the same enemy. When someone gets caught out of position, we say they're out of position or got picked off. Common mistakes. Face checking means walking into unwarded areas, super dangerous before team fights, and overextending is when you push too far forward and can't escape. What role do you usually play in team fights, or do you want me to explain positioning for a specific role like ADC or support?
好，相玩有問題，冇人睇直播啦。長命過你啊 ，channel 頂你個肺啊，真係。
I think you're asking about warding brushes and the timing for it. In LoL, we usually say ward the brush instead of award. Best timing for brush wards. Before objectives. Ward river brushes and jungle entrances about 30-60 seconds before Baron, Dragon Spa, and Ez. During laning, ward the side brushes when you're pushing to avoid ganks. Before team fights, clear vision in key brushes where enemies might flank from key spots to ward. River brush as near Baron, Dragon for picks. Jungle entrances like the brushes near Raptors or Krugs. Flank brushes behind your team's position during sieges. Pro tip: use control wards, pink wards, in brushes you want to hold long term, and save your trinket wards for quick vision when rotating. Are you talking about warding as a support, or do you want to know about brush control for a specific lane like top or jungle? I think you mean enchanter support. That's what we call supports like Lulu, Janna, Soraka, and Karma. In LoL, we don't usually say science support. Why enchanters are strong in Grandmaster. Enchanters are super valuable at high elo because they excel at enabling their carries. They provide shields, heals, and buffs that let ADCs and mid laners pop off in teamfights. High-level players know how to play around their enchanters' cooldowns and positioning. Key strengths. Peel potential. They can keep assassins and divers off their carries. Lane sustain. They help ADCs survive poke and all-ins during laning. Teamfight impact. Their utility scales well even when behind. The reason they work well in GM+ is that players have better positioning and game sense, so enchanters don't get caught out as easily. Plus, carries at that level can really capitalize on the extra survivability and damage buffs. Do you play enchanter supports, or are you asking because you're facing them as an opponent? Oh, Sion Support? Yeah, that's actually a legit off-meta pick that some high elo players have used to climb. In LoL, we call these unconventional picks off-meta, or cheese picks. Why Sion Support works. Hook, engage potential. His Q, decimating smash, is a great engage tool for picks. Tanky frontline. He can absorb damage and soak poke for his ADC. Roaming power. His R, unstee-oppable onslaught, lets him make crazy roams to mid or jungle. Lane pressure. His W, soul furnace, shield helps him trade aggressively. The strategy. Sion support players usually focus on roam timers. They shove the wave with their ADC, then roam mid or invade jungle. His ultimate makes for some nasty ganks that are hard to escape from. It's definitely a pocket pick that works because people don't expect it and don't know how to play against it. The Korean server loves these kinds of innovative strategies. Have you tried playing it yourself? Or are you thinking about adding it to your champion pool? Ah, that's called a flex pick in English. What you're describing is the draft phase mind games. Sion can be flexed between top lane and support, so enemies don't know where he's going during champion select. we call BP champion select, or draft phase. The strategy: when you pick Sion early, the enemy team assumes he's going top lane, so they might pick a counter for top lane, or draft their team comp around that assumption. Then when you reveal he's actually support, their draft gets messed up and they're stuck with suboptimal picks. We call this draft deception, flexing champions, or hiding your team comp. Some players also say you baited the enemy team into a bad draft. This is actually a high-level strategy that pro teams use all the time. They'll pick champions that can go multiple roles to keep the enemy guessing until the last second. Is this something you want to try in your ranked games? Or were you just curious about the terminology? Great question about spacing against enchanters. You're right that good Lulu players can chunk you hard at level 1 with her Glitter Lance, Q. Key spacing concepts: respect their range, stay outside Lulu's Q range, 925 units, and Soraka's Q range, 800 units, when possible. Use minion positioning. Hide behind minions to block Lulu's Q, but be careful since it hits multiple targets. Trade windows. Engage when their abilities are on cooldown. Lulu's Q has a 7-second cooldown early. Lulu-specific tips. Her picks, passive fairy, extends her auto range, so don't underestimate her poke damage. If she uses Q to poke, you have a window to all in or trade back. Her shield, E, has a long cooldown early, so punish her ADC when it's down. Soraka-specific tips. Dodge her Q to deny her healing. If she misses, she can't sustain as well. All in her directly since she's super squishy and has no mobility. What support champions are you playing against them? The spacing strategy changes depending on if you're playing engage supports like Leona or poke supports like Zyra. Great question. For Sion Support synergy, you want ADCs that can follow up on his engage and don't need much babysitting. Best synergy ADCs: Jhin, his W, Deadly Flourish, can root enemies that Sion hits with Q, plus his R gives long-range follow-up. Ashe, her R, Enchanted Crystal Arrow, combos perfectly with Sion's engage, and her slows help him land abilities. Misfortune. She can wombo combo with Sion's knockup using her R, Bullet Time, for massive teamfight damage. Why these work? These ADCs have crowd control or AoE damage that synergizes with Sion's engage. They're also pretty self-sufficient in lane, which is important since Sion can't provide shields or heals like traditional supports. Avoid pairing with Kog'Maw or Twitch. They need too much protection and peel. Vayne. She wants to scale and play safe, but Sion wants to make aggressive plays. The key is finding ADCs who can capitalize on Sion's picks and don't mind playing aggressive early. Have you tried any specific ADC combinations with Sion Support yet? I think you mean you've tried Sion Support, right? In LoL, we don't usually say swaying with side support. How did those games go for you? Did you find success with the engage timing and roaming? Which ADC were you duo queuing with, and what was the biggest challenge you faced? Was it the laning phase or team fight positioning? A lot of players struggle with Sion Support because the all-in timing is so different from traditional supports, and you have to be really careful not to unt when you engage with your ultimate. Also, what rank are you playing this at? Oh, Swain ADC with Sion Support. That's actually a really creative bot lane duo. That synergy makes sense. Swain's never move E can set up Sion's decimating smash Q perfectly, and Sion's knock-up guarantees Swain can land his full combo. Plus, both champions are super tan Kai, so you can play really aggressively in lane and dive the enemy bot lane. Why this works? Chain CC. Swain's route into Sion's knockup is nasty. Sustain. Swain's healing plus Sion's tankiness makes them hard to poke out. Team fight presence. Both champions are frontline threats that enemies have to respect. I don't have access to YouTube to check out your videos. My training data doesn't include recent content. But that sounds like a really innovative strategy. How do you handle the early laning phase before you both get your key abilities? And do you find that enemies struggle to adapt to this unusual bot lane? Nice strategy. The word you're looking for is advantage. So you're trying to get an early advantage or early lead. Your game plan sounds solid. Using Decimating Smash to both poke the enemy ADC and shove the wave for a level 2 power spike is smart. That's called a level 2 all-in. It's a classic bot lane strategy. For the items, I think you mean Sunfire Aegis and Thornmail. We call Sunfire Sunfire and Thornmail Thornmail in English. That build makes sense because you become a damage sponge who can face tank while dealing burn damage to enemies who attack you. Pro tip: make sure you're tracking the enemy's sum-owner spells, flash, heal, when you go for those early all-ins. If they burn their escape tools, you can look for another engage when your abilities come back up. How do you handle ranged supports like Lulu or Zyra who try to poke you out before you can get in range for your Q? Do you max Q first for the poke damage? You max E first. That's smart. People definitely underestimate Sion's Roar of the Slayer damage, especially at level 5 with 3 points in it. For those Chinese terms in English, Koju Q E, hold your Q, or charge your Q. Zushanglai A Bing equal step up to last hit minions, or walk up to CS. Chiang 2 equals race for level 2, or push for level 2. So your strategy is, hold your charged Q until Zyra/Lulu step up to CS, because they have to contest the push for level 2. If they don't auto minions, you space them out and don't Q them. But once they get within range to last, hit, you release the Q on them. That's actually really smart spacing and timing. You're using their greed for CS against them. The key is patience, waiting for them to overextend for farm instead of forcing bad engages. Do you find that most enchanters respect your Q range after you hit them once, or do they keep stepping up carelessly? Exactly. That's the skill gap between ranks showing. In lower elos, players don't respect your Q range and they greed for CS, so you get free, full-charged Qs. But in Korean Master Tier, those players have much better positioning sense. They know exactly how to space outside your Q range while still applying lane pressure. They'll use poke abilities and auto-attack range to harass you without giving you engage windows. The higher elo adaptation. Even though they don't walk into your Q, you're still controlling space and zoning them. They can't freely trade or all-in your ADC because of the Q threat. This is called threat pressure. Just having the ability available forces them to play more defensively. Korean master players are really good at microspacing. They'll stay just outside your range but still contest CS and trade efficiently. The fact that you're still creating pressure even when they done it into your Q shows you understand the mental game aspect. How do you adapt your roam timings when the lane opponents are playing that safely? Haha, I think you mean when AI eventually beats SKTT1 in League. That's a really interesting hypothetical question. If we're talking about champions that could counter AI, I'd say champions with high mechanical outplay potential and unpredictable patterns might work best. Yasuo, Yone. Their wind walls and dashes create so many variables that even AI might struggle to calculate optimal trades. Azir, his soldier positioning and shuffle combos have infinite micro-positioning possibilities. Lee Sin, ward hopping and insect kicks require split-second creativity that might be hard for AI to predict. But honestly, AI would probably be insane at macro play, objective control, and teamfight positioning. They'd never miss skill shots or waste cooldowns. The real question is whether creativity and mind games can beat perfect mechanical execution and game knowledge. Faker's strength isn't just mechanics. It's his game sense and ability to make unpredictable plays that catch opponents off guard. What do you think? Would human creativity be enough against perfect AI execution? That's a really deep perspective. You're saying human creativity can be mathematically calculated and predicted, right? I can see your point. Even the most creative plays in League might just be optimal solutions that AI could calculate faster than humans. Like when Faker makes an impossible outplay, maybe it's just him finding the mathematically best sequence of inputs that we hadn't considered yet. AI advantages would be insane. Perfect CSing and trading patterns, frame-perfect combos and skill shot accuracy, optimal pathing and resource allocation, instant adaptation to enemy patterns. But I wonder if there's still something unpredictable about human decision-making, like tilting, ego plays, or emotional reactions that create chaos AI might not expect. Maybe the real test would be, can AI handle a tilted Yasuo player who's making completely irrational but somehow effective plays? Sometimes the wrong play works precisely because it's so unexpected. What do you think? Would perfect calculation always beat human unpredictability? Or could chaos still create opportunities? That's a great question. For that Chinese sentence, you'd say, should I keep playing the same champion, Sion, or make counter picks based on draft phase if I have last pick? My take on Chinese server strategy: since you have such a deep champion pool for support, I'd actually recommend adapting to draft rather than one-tricking Sion. Here's why. Flex your champion pool. First pick situations. Go with Sion since he's hard to counter and can flex top. Last pick opportunities. Counter with Heimerdinger into engage supports, or Varus into enchanters. Team comp needs. If your team needs AP damage, pull out the Heimer or Zyra Chinese server specifically. Players there are really good at punishing one-tricks once they figure out your patterns. Having multiple pocket picks keeps enemies guessing and prevents them from target banning you. Pro tip: master 2-3 champions per archetype. Engage, poke, enchanter, so you can always fill team comp needs while still having comfort picks. What's your win rate with Sion versus your other off-meta picks? That might help decide your climbing strategy. In the Chinese League community, they usually say Lei Xing for archetype, or more specifically, Tank Sion Fuju, tank engage supports, Fashi Xing Fuju, mage poke supports, Zhu Liao Xing Fuju, or ruin fu, enchanter heal supports, Kai Tuan Xing, engage initiation type. Some players also use dingwei, which means positioning/role, when talking about what type of support you're playing. You might also hear gong neng sing, when talking about utility-focused champions. But honestly, a lot of Chinese players just use the English terms mixed in, like saying engage fuju or pokashing, because the international league terminology is so widespread. Do you find that Chinese server players are more flexible with team comp building? Or do they also have the woji huiwan xx, I only know how to play XX mentality? Focused on supporting the team rather than damage. High utility, when a champion brings a lot of useful abilities for the team. Examples: Lulu's shield and polymorph are utility abilities. Thresh is a utility support because of his lantern, hook, and flay. We'd say Sion brings good utility with his knockup and slow. Sometimes players also say supportive abilities or team-oriented abilities when talking about skills that help teammates rather than just dealing damage. In team comps, we might say, we need more utility when the team lacks crowd control or supportive abilities. Is there a specific utility ability or champion you want to discuss the terminology for? I don't have information about Season 16, Patch 2606, since that's beyond my training data, so I can't speak to the specific meta or balance changes in that patch. But generally speaking, Swain ADC works best with supports who can help him land his abilities and provide engage setup. Classic synergies. Leona. Her EQ combo guarantees Swain can land his full rotation. Not Ilus. Multiple CC abilities to set up Swain's never move. Thresh, hook into flay, gives Swain easy follow-up. Sion, like you mentioned. Q knock-up into Swain combo. Why these work? Swain needs setup for his abilities since his never move can be dodged, and he benefits from frontline presence since he wants to get into team fights. Since you mentioned you've been playing Sion plus Swain, how has that been working in the current patch you're playing on? Are there any new items or balance changes that have affected that synergy recently? Absolutely. Here's how to introduce yourself and communicate with English-speaking League players. Self-introduction examples. Hey, I'm a Sion Support main from China. Still learning English, but I know the game well. Sion Sup main here. I play off-meta, but it works. Trust the process. I main Sion Support plus other off-meta picks. Let me know if you want to duo. Key communication phrases. My bad. When you make a mistake. Nice play. To compliment teammates. Let's group. When you want to team fight. I'll engage. Before you go in with Sion. Follow up. When you want teammates to help with your engage. Pro tips. Use pings more than chat. They're universal. Keep it simple. Gank bot works better than complex sentences. Be positive. Say, "We got this," instead of flaming. Ask questions like, "Should I roam mid?" to show you're thinking about macro. The League community appreciates players who communicate intent and stay positive even with language barriers. Your game knowledge will speak louder than perfect English. That sentence in English would be, "How can I deal with top laners who die 10 plus times and keep split pushing, causing us to lose the game?" Or, "How do you handle the toxic top lane gameplay where players int 10 plus deaths but keep trying to split push?" Dealing with inting split pushers. Don't follow their calls. If they're 0-10, ignore their "come help me" pings. Play for other lanes. Focus on helping mid ADC who can actually carry. Control vision. Ward around objectives so you can fight 4v5 when the split pusher gets caught. Mute and focus. Don't tilt from their bad decisions. Just play your own game. As Sion Support specifically, roam away from bot. Help mid jungle instead of the feeding top laner. Set up picks. Use your engage to catch enemies. Don't waste it saving the inter. Play for late game. Your utility scales better than their feeding. Mental approach. Accept that some games are unwinnable due to teammates. Focus on your own improvement and don't let their tilt affect your gameplay. Have you been dealing with this a lot in your ranked games? That sentence in English would be, "I have a friend who keeps complaining that he can't climb because it's a top lane meta right now." Or, "My friend constantly blames the top-focused meta for why he's stuck in his rank." How to explain it to your irrational friend? "Dude, if it's really a top lane meta, that means you should be climbing easier, not harder." Top lane has more agency now, so good top laners naturally rise in rank. Key points to make. The meta affects everyone equally. Your opponents face the same conditions. Focus on fundamentals. CSing, wave management, and map awareness matter more than meta. Every role can carry. Even in top meta, supports like core JJ and mid laners like Faker still dominate. For irrational people, use simple logic. If top lane is OP and you main top, why aren't you winning more? This forces them to think about their actual gameplay instead of blaming external factors. Reality check. Most players who blame the meta are looking for excuses instead of improving their laning fundamentals and decision-making. Have you tried spectating his games to see what he's actually doing wrong? That would be because this patch is actually like that. Some support players only play enchanters like Lulu, Nami, or Soraka. Their skill level often isn't very good, but they have good male friends. Those males approach these girls for sexual benefits and help them climb ranks, creating inequality in ranked games. What's the solution to this unfairness? Reality check on this mindset. This kind of thinking is pretty toxic and sexist, honestly. Here's the truth. Boosting happens regardless of gender, and assuming female players are only climbing because of male help is unfair. Many female players are genuinely skilled. Actual solutions for climbing. Focus on your own gameplay. You can't control who gets boosted. Play consistently. Over many games, boosted players will drop back down. Improve fundamentals. Better players will always climb eventually. Hard truth. If you're stuck at a rank, it's usually because that's your current skill level. Blaming boosted girls or unfair advantages is just mental gymnastics to avoid self-improvement. Instead of focusing on others, ask, what can I do better in my own games? That's the only thing you can actually control. That translates to, split pushing can really throw the entire game. It feeds a gangplank who can straight up 1v5, and this is super common on the Taiwan server. However, the hacking ADC plus Yumi combo is also very common. About split pushing gone wrong. Yeah, bad split pushing is a classic throw. When your team feeds kills to a scaling champ like GP while trying to answer the split, he gets fed and becomes a raid boss. The key is knowing when to group versus when to match the split. Split push fundamentals. only split if you can escape ganks or 1v1 the enemy splitter. Your team needs wave clear and disengage to stall 4v4. Don't force fights when your splitter isn't pressuring. About the hacking issue. If there are actually scripters, cheaters using scripts, that sucks for the server health. Yuumi plus ADC is naturally strong because Yuumi makes the ADC nearly unkillable. But if they're scripting perfect dodges and combos, that's a whole different problem. Best advice. Focus on macro decisions you can control rather than getting tilted by external factors like cheaters or bad teammates. That translates to, how can we get Riot to do more things and stop pretending to be busy? Real talk about Riot. You can't really force Riot to prioritize what you want. They're a massive company with their own roadmap. But here's what actually works. Community pressure methods. Reddit posts that gain traction on FireSir League of Legends. Twitter campaigns that go viral. Pro player complaints. Riot listens when big names speak up. Mass ticket submissions about specific issues. What Riot actually responds to. Revenue threats. If players stop buying skins, passes. Competitive integrity issues that hurt esports. Major bugs that break the game. Reality check. Riot isn't pretending to be busy. They're juggling multiple games. LOL, Valorant, TFT, etc., and have limited resources. They prioritize based on player retention. That translates to, does their ranking system flag certain players? Because many players notice some accounts get teammates who play really chaotically and troll. Is this real? It's basically a belief among most ranked players. The conspiracy theory, this is called loser's queue, or Smurf queue. The belief that Riot intentionally gives you worse teammates to keep you at 50% win rate. What's actually happening? MMR balancing. If you're on a win streak, the system might pair you with lower MMR teammates to balance team strength. Confirmation bias. You notice bad games more than good ones. Behavioral systems. Toxic players do get matched together more often. Smurf detection. New accounts with high performance get put in Smurf queue with other Smurfs Riot's official stance. They deny intentional rigging, but admit to behavioral matchmaking and Smurf detection systems. The truth? Some shadow systems definitely exist, but it's more about maintaining game health than targeting specific players. Most evidence is just confirmation bias mixed with normal MMR variance. Bottom line, focus on your own gameplay rather than conspiracy theories. Even if these systems exist, consistently good players still climb over time. That translates to, does Smurf detection really exist? Because I made a level 30 Smurf and hit Taiwan server master in 1 month, then my teammates became weird inting players. Smurf detection is 100% real. Riot has confirmed they have Smurf queue systems. When you climb too fast with high KDA and game knowledge, you get flagged. What happens in Smurf queue? Other Smurfs, often toxic players banned from mains. Account buyers who can't play at their bot rank. Boosted players falling back down. Genuinely new players with high MMR gains. Why it feels terrible. Mix of skill levels creates chaotic games. Ego clashes between Smurfs from different ranks. Higher toxicity since many are on throwaway accounts. Unstable MMR makes games feel flippy. The system's purpose. Riot wants to protect genuine new players from getting stomped by Smurfs, so they quarantine high-performing new accounts together. Getting out. Play more games consistently. Eventually the system will place you in normal queue as your MMR stabilizes. But yeah, climbing on Smurfs is way more mental torture than climbing on your main because of this system. It's working as intended, just not fun for the Smurf. That translates to, can playing more games solve this Smurf detection problem? Yes, but it takes time. Playing more games will eventually get you out of Smurf queue, but it's not just about raw game count. What the system tracks. Game volume over time, not just total games. Performance consistency, less Smurf-like stats. Account age and behavioral patterns. MMR stabilization. When your rank matches your actual skill. Realistic timeline. 100 to 200 plus games depending on how hard you stomped initially. Several weeks, months of consistent play. Lower performance actually helps. Stop trying to carry every game. Pro tip. Many high elo players say their Smurfs feel normal after about 150-300 games when they stop having crazy win rates and KDAs. The catch. If you keep hard carrying and maintaining Smurf-like stats, you might stay flagged longer. Playing more team-oriented and having normal scorelines helps convince the system you're not Smurfing. Bottom line, it's a waiting game. The system will eventually treat your account normally, but you gotta grind through the Smurf queue hell first.